Imagine it's the 50s. Father knows best. Roy Rogers. Age of Innocence is coming to an end. Poodle Skirts. Chevys.
Let's go to the hop. Let's go to the hop. Let's go to the hop. Baby, let's go to the hop.
And then a news flash comes on the radio. We interrupt this program for a news flash. Planned Parenthood lobbies for post-birth abortion. A lobbyist for a regional division of Planned Parenthood says a doctor and a mother should be allowed to decide to kill a newborn who survives an abortion. The Planned Parenthood comments came at a recent Florida legislative hearing. Lawmakers were stunned, asking the same question over and over. If a baby is born on a table as a result of a botched abortion, what would Planned Parenthood want to have happen to that child who is struggling for life? Snow responded, "We believe that any decision that's made should be left up to the woman, her family, and the physician." Folks, it's not the 50s anymore. Chances are you never heard that news story. It was a real news story. It happened about 2 years ago. Just recently in the news, it's hard to find, but this nurse that was there performing an abortion was saying, "Oh, look at this," and the little baby's heart was still beating. She was holding it up. With the advent of sonograms and live-action ultrasound images, neonatologists and nurses were able to see unborn babies at 20-week gestation period react physically to outside stimuli such as sound, light, and touch. The sense of touch is so acute that even a single human hair drawn across an unborn baby's palm causes the baby to make a fist. Surgeons entering the womb to perform corrective procedures on tiny unborn babies have seen those babies flinch, jerk, and recoil from sharp objects and incisions. At 20 weeks, the fetal brain has the full complement of brain cells present in adulthood, ready and waiting to receive pain signals from the body, and their electrical activity can be recorded by standard electroencephalograms. Dr. Paul Rinaldi, neurologist, University of Toronto. An unborn baby at 20 weeks gestation is fully capable of experiencing pain. Without question, abortion is a dreadfully painful experience for any infant subjected to such a surgical procedure. Unborn babies at 20 weeks development actually feel pain more intensely than adults. This is a uniquely vulnerable time since the pain system is fully established, yet the higher level pain modifying system has barely begun to develop. Y'all might remember when you were a kid, even the littlest cut hurt so bad. And now, sometimes I found myself, I cut myself and I don't even realize it. Oh, I'm bleeding, I must have cut myself. As we're older, our bodies can handle pain better. So, how did we get from there to here? 60 years ago, if news like this would have hit, there would have been outrage. Now, I'm not here to try to talk about anybody who's had an abortion. We've all been fooled. The devil has fooled us all. Up until I took this biology class a couple years ago, I thought of an unborn baby as just a mass of flesh, and that's the way that they promote it. And don't let Haeckel's embryos fool you. Everybody probably remembers this from biology, where they shows that all these different animals all look pretty much the same when they're developing. That's a fraud, and they knew it as soon as he published it. The other scientists knew that this was fraud. Yet still today, you're finding it in college, in school textbooks and stuff like that. I was shocked when I, took that biology class to find out that they have developing hearts and brains in 5 weeks. 5 weeks they have a little heartbeat. In 8 weeks, they have little fingerprints. 8 weeks. Gestation is 38 weeks. In 8 weeks, they already have little fingerprints. The skeleton is complete and reflexes are present at 42 days. Electrical brainwave patterns can be recorded at 43 days. This means that they are thinking. The fetus has the appearance of a miniature baby with complete fingers, toes, and ears at 49 days. All organs are functioning, stomach, liver, kidney, brain, and all systems are intact at 56 days. By 20 weeks, the unborn child has hair, working vocal cords, sucks her thumb, grasps with her hands, and kicks. Despite the unborn child's advanced development at 20 weeks, the following painful abortion procedures are used. Partial birth abortion. The unborn baby is delivered feet first, except for the head, which is punctured at the base of the skull with a sharp object. The brain is then sectioned out, killing the child. This method was outlawed in the United States in 2007, but it still goes on in some parts of the world. Dilation and excavation. Sharp-edged instruments are used to grasp, twist, and tear the baby's body into pieces, which are then removed from the womb. Saline abortion. Salt water is injected into the womb through the mother's abdomen. The unborn baby swallows this fluid, is poisoned, and dies in a process that takes sometimes 24 hours. The toxic saline solution causes severe burns all over the unborn child's body. The devil has really pulled the wool over our eyes, folks. He is very subtle, and now he has a foot in the door. It's going to be very hard to dislodge him. We must do our part to stop this atrocity, even if we're afraid it will do no good. In the next few minutes, we're going to see how this quietly invaded our country. Abortion has been going on for a very long time. There were the Jesuit priests in the year 1500 were already preaching against abortion. So it's been going on over 500 years and probably long back into the Dark Ages. As far back as the early British colonial days, there were abortion laws on the books. The first abortion law in the U.S. was established in Connecticut in 1812. There was controversy over these laws, but it faded away. And even in the 1960s, people started pushing for liberalization of abortion laws. There was still little controversy. The real controversy started in 1973 with, everybody's heard of the Roe versus Wade, which the Supreme Court overrode all the states' power to outlaw abortion. The arguments were framed as pro-abortion, not pro-abortion, but pro-choice. It's framed as a medical question. Morals and scruples do not enter into it. They can't possibly permit themselves to call themselves pro-abortion, so they call it pro-choice. Even in the 1800s, it was never framed as a moral issue. They thought that, like I did, that the unborn baby was just a blob of flesh, And that's the way the devil works, real slow and gradual. I remember when I was a kid, like Father knows best and Leave It to Beaver and stuff like that. A kiss on TV was just a little peck on the cheek, and that's about as close as you got. And now, they can do anything on TV. They just gradually, slowly introduce something that's objectionable until you get used to it. And then, pretty soon you find out this is where we're at today. What can we do? I think I'm going to skip that. I have personally been donating to the Alliance Defending Liberty. I think they have changed their name, but they're a Christian bunch of Christian attorneys, and they're very powerful. They fight against the ACLU, and they're very effective. The Texas Right to Life has an office right down here on Bissonnette. The National Right to Life is huge. They're all over the country. And start saving your change. On Mother's Day, you might remember we passed around those baby bottles, to fill with the change, and that's to help the New Hope Pregnancy Center, and they support alternatives to abortion like adoption and stuff like that. If you don't have any money, you can volunteer. If you don't have any money, you can vote. back pro-life candidates. This church could start a group. Maybe we could have awareness classes, classes on alternatives to abortion, fundraisers, and etc. Maybe even print up some little tracts or something. This may sound like a strange topic for a sermon, but where are you going to hear it? You're not going to hear it on NBC unless you listen to Adrian Rogers back when he was alive. You probably never heard something like this from the pulpit, but this is not a medical issue. It's not even a political issue. It's not a matter of choice. Murder is not a matter of choice in any civilized society. Life begins at conception. There is so much that happens in 5 days of gestation, you would be amazed. You can get on YouTube and Google the human gestation and see all the stuff that happens in just the first 5 days. It's a life, folks. There may be a valid reason for abortion, but not as a means of birth control. There's no excuse not to do anything. We cannot be guiltless if we do nothing. Don't be afraid there's so little you can do. Do what you can do, and God will do the rest. You think we can't do anything? You might find this surprising, but gay people comprise only 1% of the population. 1%. But if you watch the media and stuff like that, you'd think half the country is gay. Over 70% of people in the United States identify as Christians. Okay? If 1% can make a stink like they do, imagine what 70% of us could do. Right? I know that the media is sympathetic to the gays and all that kind of stuff, and to abortion, so we'd have to scream pretty loud, but James, where did I put that? Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Exodus. People are fighting and hit a pregnant woman, and she gives birth prematurely, but there is no serious injury. The offender must be fined, whatever the woman's husband demands and the court allows. But if there is serious injury, you are able to take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. Psalm 22, 9 through 10. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope. I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my God from my mother's belly. Romans 9. Being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. It was said to her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob I have loved, but Esau I have hated. And he's right. This was prophesied before either one of them were born. This trial was in the news. There wasn't the media frenzy that there usually would be on something if they were sympathetic to it, but they did report it. They're now making a movie about this. By the way, this happened about 3 years ago. And somebody, of course, raised the question, is America ready for a pro-life movie? But they are making a movie about this now. The district attorney who is prosecuting the case against abortion practitioner Kermit Gosnell says he is engaged in murder when he snipped the spinal cords of babies who were killed in live birth abortions. The abortion practitioner faces trial after pleading not guilty to 8 murder counts. The murder charges in connection with the deaths of the babies are related to hundreds of unborn children he reportedly caused to be born alive, and prosecutors say he and his staff used scissors to kill them by snipping at their spinal cords with scissors. The babies were born alive in the 6th and 8th month of pregnancy, but their spinal cords were severed with scissors, Williams said. It was a house of horrors beyond any type of definition or explanation that I can humbly try to give. When authorities searched Gosnell's office, they found bags and bottles holding aborted fetuses scattered throughout the building. Jars containing the severed feet of babies lined a shelf. Furniture and equipment was blood-stained, dusty, and broken. My grasp of the English language doesn't really allow me to fully describe how horrific this clinic was, rotting bodies, fetal remains, the smell of urine throughout, blood-stained, Williams said. Williams described one of the alleged infant's deaths. The baby had been born and was on a cold steel table and murdered by using, well, there's no medical basis for snipping or taking scissors and putting them in the neck and cutting, severing the spinal cord. It's just homicide. It's just murder, Williams told CNN. Thank you.